Hello, friends. This is Josue Batista. I am the host of this What Am Why First Live, and I am thrilled to welcome you, all of you, to this show. It is a very special event because it touches three topics that are very important to me from my professional and also as a digital strategist. We are going to talk about AI, the Internet of Everything, and blockchain. So thanks again for coming here, and I really appreciate the fact that you are taking time of your day. And we have I think I have more than the half an hour that I scheduled for this event. So I'll try to go over it as much in general as I can without going into too much of the details. But you know me, if you want to get a copy of the presentation, if you want to get more details from me, please reach out. I am completely available. So let's get started. Today, again, we have a lot of information to cover, and we're going to try to go over this very quickly. And the idea here is to explore these technologies. When it comes to AI and technologies in the connection with blockchain, how those technologies are emerging, maturing, and providing value in different capacities. We're going to go over certain use cases that I found important and interesting. Also, the conversion, right? How are they converging? How are they working together in this powerful combination of AI, Internet of Everything, and blockchain? And the context of those emerging technologies, again, in the pursuit of value creation. As you know, I am very much in pro of value creation. Everything that we do from technology and from business perspective has to have a value connected with that. So just about me, most of you already know me from my previous events and also for my What and Why First blog that I have been running for about 2 years. I have been in the information and technology business for more than 20 years, and I have managed many different projects in different capacities. I also started the What and Why First event back in 2018, and the whole intention is to promote technology and innovation in the context of leadership, strategy, and value creation. And most recently, I started this broadcast platform that I put together for end-to-end production of video on demand and also live video. Is ABCS Media Services, and is all of this that you see today right now is being powered by ABCS Media Services. We are simulcasting to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, of course. And for our international friends, I just posted a link where you can check captions in different languages. Let me post it one more time. Here it is. I just posted in the LinkedIn, so there are captions there in English, in Arabic, and also in Spanish. So moving on, let's go over the topics that we are going to cover today. We're going to go over the what and why of these three technologies. We're going to understand the context of those three technologies working together, the implications for you as a business manager, as an executive, as a board or director member, someone that is leading organizations and leading teams, and then what is next. I always end my conversations with what is next for you, individually, professionally, as a team leader, as someone providing a strategic direction in your organization. What is next? So let's proceed from here. And let's start right away with the introduction to the Internet of Everything. And I call it the Internet of Everything because it's true, the Internet of Everything. And this is a term coined, I believe, by Cisco, and was introduced by me, was introduced by a friend of mine, actually a couple years back. He said, no, it's not the Internet of Things anymore. It's the Internet of Everything. And that is in the context of the Industrial Revolution. We have to admit that we are facing an industrial revolution to an extent that we haven't seen before. Basically, what that means is that the combination of all these technologies are blurring the lines between the physical, the digital, and the biological spheres. And the Internet of Everything, of course, is part of that. And you experience that on a day-to-day basis. Look at all the smart living that is available today. Many of the devices that are now in the market have some degree of connection to the internet, either via Wi-Fi, they can be plugged to other devices, they can communicate with each other. We can even wear those. And right now, I am sharing right now, you can see here, I can share a Fitbit. So my Fitbit also connects to the internet through my iPhone, and that is another way to have the Internet of Everything connected. So what is actually this? So what is the Internet of Everything? So let's go over those details in a little bit more closer context. First of all, we have the Internet of Things, right? So we are very familiar with that. We have from a garage door opener to devices that we wear to manufacturing and in construction and logistics, IoT is very popular. So that is the original context. Now, once we understand that, right, that there is the Internet of Things, we also need to understand that these devices are creating significant amounts of data. Each time that a device like my Fitbit, for example, connects to the internet, each time that we have a device in our homes that is connected to somehow to our internal land, a lot of data is being created. So that data is useful for decision making and for trending, but it needs to be analyzed. And we're going to see in a moment how artificial intelligence is helping with that. But going back to the concept of the Internet of Everything, combining the input of data, right, from these devices into all the array of information that is being created, then we can enhance our processes. We can move from just digitization to digitalization of our processes, right? And the whole objective, of course, is to create value. We want to create more relevant experiences, better experiences for our clients, for our employees, for our partners, everyone that interacts with us. We want to make that possible. And how big is this? Well, some estimates say that it is significant. It's about $8 trillion a year involved into this business, into this industry of the Internet of Everything. So I encourage you as a professional to look into this. There is a context associated with the devices, the data that it creates, applying that data to enhance processes to ultimately create value. And that is the whole purpose. So now that we have settled what the Internet of Everything is, let's move on now to the next topic, which is artificial intelligence. And by the way, I have a session that I did a few weeks back that explains in more detail, artificial intelligence and machine learning. But just in the context of artificial intelligence, just to understand what it is. It's basically the capability of a machine to imitate human behavior. A machine, in this case, is software, right? So it's software that is specially designed to imitate the decisioning process that a human goes through. Now, from that perspective, is a field of data science. It is in the computer science space. From the construction point of view, meaning creating those artificial intelligence models. And again, it allows these algorithms to perform analysis, trending, even decisioning as a human would do with the data available. They are adaptable and they are perceived as intelligent. Now, another context that is important to understand is that there is a connection between AI and big data in the sense that AI requires massive amount of data. So again, that goes back to the connection that we have with IoT, right? IoT generates immense amounts of data. A human cannot possibly even attempt to understand all those streams of information arriving. AI can do that. So that is a perfect match there. In addition, data is not just anymore from a database, like a traditional relational database. Data streams are everywhere and constant from social media, again, from IoT, from many other sources. And to the point that as of today, that variety of data is a key concept for which artificial intelligence matches or meets IoT from a very, very, very constructive perspective. So, again, that is the context of artificial intelligence and how the Internet of Things generating all this data is a good match, a good pair with that. Now, what about blockchain? So blockchain, believe me, if you want to understand more about blockchain, I have plenty of videos. Go to my library on LinkedIn, and you'll find plenty of information about blockchain. But essentially, blockchain, let's go quickly over the basis of blockchain. First of all, I always start with this. Bitcoin is not blockchain, right? There is a misconception that people, when they hear blockchain, they think that it's Bitcoin, but that is not the case. And I think over the last couple of years, there have been more education as to what blockchain is. And that very seldom happens, but I want to settle that up front. What blockchain actually is an architectural concept. It can be implemented in different ways. There are different architectural implementations of blockchain, but it's essentially an open ledger. So think of a ledger, a place where you record transactions. It's open because it can be read by the participants in this blockchain, either public or not private blockchain. It is verifiable because all of them agree that that is the data, that is the transaction that is being stored, and it's permanent. That is a key feature of blockchain. So this concept from the Harvard Business Review is the one that I like the most and the one that I use when I am explaining what blockchain is. Now, why to use blockchain? Just in a few topics. Allows for multi-party collaboration. So if you have several parties that do not trust each other, you can use blockchain and as an architectural framework to not only share data, but also make decisions on that data. It's also key to process optimization because it allows you to capture not only the data elements, but also the model, the decisioning model that you use to arrive to those decisions. And it's traceable. So you can actually go back in time and find out, why is that model did that decision. That helps a lot with process optimization. Security. Blockchain is encrypted, either if it's a public or it's a private. There is high levels of degree of encryption associated with that. Another point here is that there is transparency, right? You can verify, that the information that is in the ledger is open to the parties that are involved. And you can also do an audit on that information. You can look into it from an auditing perspective, which is great from regulatory perspective. And then if there is an information imbalance, blockchain helps with that. And finally, it's immutable, right? So that really brings some degree of, some degree of confidence that the data is not going to be changed, because that is the whole purpose of having a blockchain. So now that we have just a high level, oversimplified view of what blockchain is, let's move on to that architectural context, right? How all these pieces are working together. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to go quickly over a few use case scenarios. Those use case scenarios, you're going to see a combination of artificial intelligence, blockchain, along with the Internet of Everything collaborating to solve problems and create value. So let's start with the first use case, right? So the first use case here, we have a scenario in where there is new security frameworks that the Internet of Everything needs, right? So tens of thousands of IoT devices are coming alive and connected to the Internet every single day. Yeah, so some of them are already in your house, right? How do we ensure that that device not only is secure from a hardware and connectivity perspective, but also the data interaction that it has. How do we trace that, right? That is where a perfect place for blockchain, and some vendors are already including not just the internet connection, but also artificial intelligence and blockchain as ways to preemptively protect you from a security perspective and also create audits on that. The other use case is data capturing, right? So blockchain is great to capture not necessarily massive amounts of information, because that is not efficient. Blockchain is not efficient when it comes to heavy, detailed transactional information. The key here is to capture relevant information in an immutable, transparent way. So think, for example, of a container that is going from point A to point B, and you want to measure not only the geolocation, but also the temperature, right? The vibration, right? Was that container dropped, and caused damage, to the internal items that are inside the container. So all those things can be captured with a IoT or several IoT devices. You can measure pressure, for example, in pipelines. You can measure temperature in boiler systems, in reactors, etc. So all of that not only is generated, but also can be captured via artificial intelligence, and then eventually the relevant pieces of information can be immutably stored in a blockchain for use. I want to pause here for a moment. I have a few friends here. Thank you for joining me in this event. Much appreciated. Okay, thank you. Now, we have Sarah that says, that there are absolutely no converging. Oh, well, Sarah, I tend to disagree with you. There is a conversion. And you are more than welcome. I really would like to hear your point of view. So, Sarah, if you want to be a guest in this show, please, I would love to hear your perspective. How you're saying that they're not converging, they're actually diverging. I would love to hear that point of view, because again, I am open to learn, and I think our audience also would like to hear your perspective. So right now my positioning is, yes, there is a conversion, but if you have also positioning that is no, there is no conversion, they're actually diverging, I would love to hear that. So Sarah is right now watching the event. I certainly invite you or follow up with you. Perhaps we can do a show together. Moving on, the next use case here is smart contracts. By the way, smart contracts are not that smart, right? So there are some limitations with the logic. I see more blockchain facilitating flows of decisioning, flows of processes, as opposed to executing significant business logic. And that is a challenge that exists today and can be addressed again with blockchain and in the context of artificial intelligence and Internet of Everything. Robotics process automation is another great use case, right? In where artificial intelligence is facilitating the use of repetitive tasks like KPMG, for example. KPMG is using robotic process automation to help with the audits. So instead of a human trying to go over all this information and finding patterns, they use artificial intelligence enhanced models for this. And then the person, that auditor, can concentrate on more relevant interactions with the client, which is great. Also, cloud-based business process management. That is another aspect in where artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and blockchain are somehow facilitating a better understanding, a better facilitation, and easier adoption of cloud-based technologies. And we see that all over the place. For example, right now I am using cloud-based technology for this video stream. I am streaming, and I am also taking the audio, converting that to text, and then using artificial intelligence to enhance that and provide captions in other languages. So that is one example how your business process can be enhanced real time using artificial intelligence and the cloud. And then another one is business process management as well, and AI. We see that as something that is evolving in a very positive way, especially with COVID, right? So COVID have brought the best to light in the sense that in order for us to deliver value, we do not necessarily have to be there present physically. That value can be created from different ways, from a distance, remotely, using artificial intelligence, remote process automation, and many other opportunities to enhance this, to create new rules on this road to digitalization. So again, those are just oversimplifying, just use cases, very simplistic, just to illustrate how all these technologies are converging. And just go over blockchain real quick on this. Blockchain, again, is facilitating some of that, and it's evolving. Blockchain, for example, is moving more into for example, in the healthcare, you see more consortia being created where different entities share some information. Amazon Web Services has a ledger that is just a ledger that is immutable for specific scenarios, whereby you want to just store critical information in an immutable way for regulatory or audit perspectives. So they offer that as, which is a ledger, an essential simple ledger, and they also offer a blockchain that you can instantiate in less than a half an hour with peers, partners, all of that pay as you go. That is another way that artificial intelligence, cloud-based technologies, and blockchain are converging to make things easier for all of us. So again, all of this goes back to a concept that I introduced a couple years ago. I believe that blockchain is going to be what I call the decision vault. That is a very important role. As we process more data from the Internet of Everything, as we use artificial intelligence not only to analyze that data, but also to make decisions. Think of a loan approval process, right? A process whereby people apply for a loan, and there is some degree of algorithms that look into that and make a recommendation, and in some cases a decision as to whether to approve that person or not for the loan. That model, not just the decision, but also the model itself, can be stored in a blockchain. So if 3 years down the road, 3 months down the road, there is a question as to what model was used and what was the decisioning process to deny or approve a loan, just for example, we can rely on an immutable, transparent source of that information, which could be blockchain. So that is a role that I see being significant, and that of course has significant implications for all of us, especially people that are making decisions in organizations. To that point, what are the implications, right? So the implications are from different perspectives, but I'm just going to quickly go over, a few of them. First of all, the implication here is that we have analog processes, paper processes, media, diagrams, equipment, facilities that are physical, right? And the idea is to take those analog assets and somehow bring some digitization to that. That is perhaps the first step that an IoT device does, right, on a photocopier machine, or an IoT device does in a factory, in some equipment, looking for perhaps repairs in advance. Something, a part is wearing off, then that device can notify that. So that is the digitization aspect. But then once you have the digitization, you can move into digitalization. You can become more digital. And that is the whole purpose. We want to leapfrog into a digital space where we can use data analytics, artificial intelligence, blockchain, Internet of Everything, video streaming. All of those are facilitated by having a digital context. And again, it's a progression. It's not overnight. I know that it takes time. The idea is to start thinking digital before becoming digital. And again, you have to be digital in order to transform, because transformation is about your business model. You cannot even attempt to change your business model unless you are a digital organization. In this new world, that is not going to happen, right? So you are either stuck in where you are in the digitization space, attempting perhaps poorly to move into a digital, but never you will reach the transformation aspect, because it's not about a project that you run. It is about your business model. So from that perspective, how can you leverage all of this? So here's my suggestion. Accept that tech disruption is here to stay. All these technologies are here. They're not going to go away. You need to apply leadership, strategy, innovation, and value creation in order to take advantage of that. It's not optional to use one and not the others. All of them are chained together. In my experience over more than 20 years, you need those components working together. And finally, technology is about enhancing your business model. And your business model is the way that you create value. You don't do projects just for the sake of technology. You don't do, I see organizations doing projects and applying time and resources on things that should have been there years back. And it's going to take them years to finalize the project. So by then, they will be even farther behind. The intention here is to start thinking digital and going progression into that. So what is next for you in conclusion? Well, that is a very interesting question. Every organization is different. Every individual is different. I cannot prescribe for you what is next. You have to make that determination. Now, a point here. If you are a big monopoly organization, in quotation marks, you don't have competitors, everything is fine, you are big, you cannot fail, you don't need to do any of this. You don't need to look into new innovation. You don't need to look into any new technologies. Because frankly, why, right? You have been operating for so many years in that way. You hire, promote, and reward people, not for leadership, strategy, innovation, and value creation, but just for the operational metrics that you have set. And they have worked fine for you, right? So if you are in that space, fine. Dinosaurs ruled the air for millennia, right? And they were fine. They didn't have to adapt. They didn't have to change until something like disruption arises. And then you know what happens, right? You know what happens with the dinosaurs, right? You can go and see them at the natural history museums, right? You can learn about them. And if you want to be a footnote in history, or like a business case, like look what happened to this company, right? Because they didn't adapt, they didn't look into digital strategies and become digital, then you can rule your world for now, but eventually that meteor that is going to hit you, and that is when it's going to happen. Now, the point here is that, of course, that doesn't happen overnight. It's like going bankrupt, right? A bankruptcy happens two ways, right? It happens gradually and then suddenly, like Hemingway say. And I know I accept that people are reluctant to change. Someone like me loves change, but most people don't, right? They don't like things to change. They want things to be steady. Many employers are even hiring today remotely, for example, local people only, because they say, well, COVID is going to go away, right? So why do I need to hire someone from San Francisco if I am in Pittsburgh? Why do I need to hire someone from South Carolina if I am in Pittsburgh, right? I just, limit myself to what is here now because COVID is going to go away. Well, when COVID goes away, the world is not going to be the same. So we need to embrace the change, and the alternative is disaster, right? You can be reacting all the time, but the only outcome of a reactive strategy is surrender. So be innovative, start seeing things from a different perspective. That is what I do, and I advise, people, executives and board of directors, start seeing things from a different way. And it's going to take some time. So the sooner you start, the better. We know that everything takes time. You cannot do this instantly. It's like Warren Buffett said, right? You cannot produce a baby in 1 month by getting 9 women pregnant. That's not going to happen. So essentially, the whole point here is that you are not alone. There is plenty of resources out there. There is plenty of available information. And you can count on me as well, because that is what I do. I work with organizations and executives helping them to leverage technology, embrace change, and become digital as a preparation, as a launch pad for digital transformation. So friends, this is the end of the event today. I hope that this was helpful to you. Please reach out. I would love to hear your comments. I want to review the comments from some of you during the event, and I promise I will follow up with each one of you. And until next time, cheers. Hi, I am Josue Batista from What and Why First. I created this video blog to share with you my thoughts about relevant trends in leadership, strategy, innovation, and value creation. If you want to watch more videos, make sure you follow my blog so you never miss any of my new videos with more tips about technology and business. And if you are already a senior leader in charge of making decisions in your organization, and you would like to put some of these strategies in place for yourself, go to josuebatista.com and learn how I can help you.